Hey guys, good morning. It's Saturday, the day before Mother's Day. Both of my parents are down at work today, so we are going to sneak out to their house and set up all their containers on drip. That's my gift to my mom for Mother's Day. Got all my supplies here. There's tubing, emitters, couplers, stakes. I've just got everything I need. The last thing I have to do is run to Home Depot really quick before we run out, because I do think I need a little bit of black tubing and some zip ties. So that's where we're going to head first. We're out of my parents' now, and I wanted to show you all the pieces and parts before we get started. So for all the containers, I'm using the Proven Winners Waterwise kit. Great for containers. It's not meant for like in-ground landscape drip kind of stuff, which is what I have this for, and I'll explain that here in a second. But in the Waterwise kit, you have your tubing, which comes in either cream or white. And I quickly realized once I brought the white out here that my parents don't have any white buildings. So I'll be using this at our house. We've got a white house. So I'll probably be primarily using this cream color tubing. It's also paintable, so if you want to bust out the paint and paint it to match your house, you can do that. So you start with a backflow preventer. This is what you put on your hose bib, and it prevents any junk from getting in the lines. So you put that on your hose bib, and then you put a faucet adapter on, like so. And then you put your tubing on, which you got to kind of use some muscle, which is what you want. You want it to be really nice and tight. Okay. Kind of like that, and then you run it to your container and you put your emitter on, which looks like this. These emit about a ½ gallon per hour. So imagine this tubing is quite a bit longer than this, because I doubt any of us have a pot that's about a foot away from our hose bib. But you can hook up to 60 containers with one of these 100-foot rolls, which is awesome. So imagine you want to tee off and go into a different direction. So wherever you want to tee, you can just take your cutters, make a cut, and then use a barbed tee. So this thing comes with barbed tees that look like this. There's also elbows in case you want to take off in a different direction. I don't know if you can see that very well, like an L shape. And then there's barbed crosses that look like that. So you can go in any direction you want. So I'm going to put my tee in just like that, and now I can put another tube off this direction and hook up another container. So once you get your emitter to the area you want it in your pot, you can attach one of these stakes right to the end, and then push it down in the soil, which will help keep the emitter in the place where you want it to go. And the last thing that's in this kit are these little, oh, it's really cold out here, you guys. My fingers are so numb. It was 83 degrees 2 days ago, and today it's 53. Okay, so there's these white nail clamps right here. So if you want to run it up the side of your house or a structure of any kind, you can put your tubing inside here. It'll just fit right in there if I pop it in. And then you use a hammer, and it's a small nail, and you just attach it to whatever you want. And that way you can tuck it in somewhere and kind of try to hide it a little bit. But that's pretty much all there is to the Waterwise kit. I did pick up some of this 1/4-inch black tubing from Home Depot because I am going to be running some drip along some black iron fencing to some window baskets that are hanging off of it. And even though this stuff is paintable, so you could use this and paint it black, this isn't my house, so I didn't want to have to put anything in that I had to paint, and I want it to be hidden. So I'm going to use this to run along the fencing into the window baskets, and then we'll be zip tying it to the railing so that you can't see it and it stays nice and snug. The other thing we got was some timers. So these are awesome, you guys. If you want to like not have to think about your pots at all, you can hook this up to your hose, and it's got a two-way, so you can put your regular hose on one side and you can still use it in the yard if you need to, and then you hook your drip up to the other side, which can operate freely. So each side will operate freely from each other. So you can have your drip side come on at whatever time you want and then turn off at whatever time you want. So it kind of like takes the any work out of your pots. You just have to look at them every once in a while, make sure they still look good. So we'll be hooking these up to 3 of their hoses here, and I think we're just going to be hooking up to 3 hoses today. So, and the other thing I got was some 1/2-inch black tubing, and I've got some 1/2-inch brown drip tubing. And a lot of you guys ask me what kind of drip tubing I use. This is the brown drip at Home Depot that has holes every 18 inches. The reason why I have this is because they do have a raised bed out here that they've wanted to get drip to, and they haven't yet. So I thought while we're at it, we may as well do that. And I've got some connectors and elbows over there for that as well. So let me show you what we need to do out there, and then we'll get started on the work. So this is the first area. This is their potting shed. So they've got a window basket right there to my left, and there's 2 others right to my right. So the water needs to come from that hose bib right down there. You can see the hose stretched out here. They just kind of leave it out because they're so busy right now. And I love the thought of them coming home and not even having to worry about this area. So the raised beds I'm going to be running the other drip to are right behind the potting shed. So let's go take a look. This bed right here has drip already in it. You can see it right here. There's some brown tubing that runs the whole length and it makes the turn and goes to that side there, but this bed doesn't have it yet. So what I'm gonna do, the main water line comes right in, right here. So I'm going to tee off right down on the ground, come up the side of this raised bed and come down in here, and then just run some of the brown drip tubing in here. So that way, this is all good, that's good, all the baskets are good. Next area. So this second area is a little bit far reaching. This is gonna be the most challenging for me, I think, because I wanna get this container hooked up. The water is gonna come from down here, let me show you. For reference, we just came down these stairs and the container is right up behind me. The water comes from back behind this post, which is behind this 9-bark. So from this same bib, we're gonna be hooking up 5 other containers in front of me here. I wanna hook those 4 window baskets that are hanging off the railing. That's the black iron railing I was talking about, plus this container right down here. So all, let's see, that's 6 altogether. They're all gonna come from the bib that's way over there. I hope I have enough tubing. And then there's one more area. There's a hose bib hiding in these plants and it's gonna feed 4 pots right up there. Let me show them to you. These are the pots right here, and then there's these 3. I think this one will be fairly easy because I can run the tubing and tuck it right underneath this rock wall. It'll be easy to hide, I hope. Just got them all done. It took about 4 hours plus an extra trip to the store. Erin had to run in and get some extra parts. So let me show you what I did on these containers. So I ran 2 emitters to each pot, and that might need to be adjusted based on how hot it is. But see, there's 2 emitters there. I've got the stakes holding them in place. And then they come and meet in the back here where there's a barbed tee. And then the drip runs toward the back. And then what I did is I just ran the tubing kind of underneath this juniper at the bottom of the rocks to each pot. And I basically did the same thing. So down here, I did a barbed tee. So it goes, the tubing goes in both directions plus up to the pot, 2 emitters in there, and so on. You can see the tubing, and that's not ideal. So ideally, you would be setting up drip on your containers as you're setting up your pots for the season. So before you put soil in them, you can actually bump your pot up on like pot feet and run the tube up through the drain hole. Or you can even drain, like if you have a ceramic pot or a terracotta, you can drill with a diamond tile drill bit. You can drill a hole into the pot right below the lip and run the drip in that way. And that way you're not seeing a bunch of tubing out of your pots. So this isn't ideal for this year, but next year we'll be able to run this same drip right up through the drain hole up to the top, and you won't see any tubing. So the tubing comes from the pots right up there, and I just kind of weaved it in the rock walls and made it down here to this hose spigot. And so I know I showed you the 2-way Orbit digital timer, but I think that once we got it set up, I don't think it's ideal for both a hose and a drip system. I think it would be great if you had 2 drip systems running off of the one hose. And I think that my parents would prefer having an actual lever to turn their hose on and off. And honestly, I probably would too. So anyway, we kind of swapped that out. We went with a 2-way right here, and then we put a single outlet timer right there. So let me just show you how this timer works really quick. So I've got it on auto because we've already got it set up. So if you want to set the clock, you just put the dial up or down to set whatever time it is. Dial one more time. Start time, you can go up or down depending on what time you want the drips to run. Then you tell it how much time you want it to run, how often, and then you can turn the system off if you want. So I'm going to turn it to auto, so it's going to go off at 7 p.m. tonight. I'm really happy with how these turned out. We're up on the balcony and we've got 4 window baskets hanging off the railing, and you really can't tell that there's drip on them unless you look really hard. So that's why we went with the black tubing. That's why we had to go make a trip to the store, because I didn't want to do anything with paint because it's not mine. But I think it just blended in really nicely. We just zip tied it to the railing all the way. So this is actually the end, and I ended with one emitter here, and then I cut and put a barbed tee right in the center. So there's an emitter right in the center. Then I came over here, another barbed tee and another emitter. So each basket has 3. And then I just took off from that one, whoops, and did the same thing on this, and so on. So this one is actually fed from the area right over here. So the drip tubing comes from this basket right here. It goes all the way around the top of the railing, down here, and then around the side of the house to where the hose bib is. Oh, I was really proud of myself when I got done with this one. So this right here is where the railing is. So the drip tubing comes down underneath the boxwood hedge, and then I tucked tubing all the way around this square underneath the boxwoods until right here, I teed off of it with a barbed tee, and I went down to that container. That one was a feat to get done. So I had to go down, let me show you really quick actually. So this one I had to come underneath the boxwood hedge, go through the rocks, which you can kind of see the tubing, but it's barely visible. And I had to come down through this rock wall, and I had to trench across here and then come up right here to the pillar. The pillar doesn't have a hole in it, it's solid. So we were able to come up through the bottom of this container, because you guys, this one is actually just a 16-inch hanging basket. It always fit perfectly in this container, so that's what my mom does. She just picks out a really pretty hanging basket and just plops it in the pot. So, and I know I told you for these containers that we were going to use a different hose. In fact, it's right here. But we thought after we got into it, we thought a different hose would work better anyway. You know how that goes. You get into a project and it changes a bit. Right there when I came off of the balcony, underneath the boxwood, I have a 3-way splitter, so it's going back to feed that pot. It's feeding the window baskets, and it's also coming down here along the base of the house and right to this container. So I actually need to do a little bit of cleaning before my mom gets here, and I think they're on their way because I did have to trench up a little bit like in between these bricks to hide the tubing. So I need to go get the blower and blow all that stuff away and clean it up a little bit. But yeah, so all these 4 window baskets, this pot, and then the one we just showed you, all of those are on the same hose. All right, potting sheds last. So what I did to run drip to this raised bed is I just teed off of that main line there, kind of hiding it with a little straw, and I came over, and there's an elbow on the ground. The tubing runs right up flat against this raised bed. There's 2 elbows that bring it right down in, and then we went every other row here with some brown soaker hose. We might need to add more, but we thought, because they run their drips for quite a long time, we thought we would start with half the amount we need, and we'll add more if we need to. And then also, ideally, we could drill a hole like right in here, so we could just feed the tube through that hole, and then you don't see this. But this is completely removable. It's not permanent, but we just thought we would do kind of a quick fix for now, just to get it going, and then they could decide what they wanted to do with it, because I didn't want to drill any holes in it because it's not mine. All right, so the drip for the the window baskets on the potting shed, remember, is fed from this hose bib. So you can see the tubing goes around the back side on the ground of this raised bed all the way around to the corner, and then it splits. So it splits and goes this way to feed one window basket in the front, and then it goes behind this raised bed and feeds these 2. So I think it worked out pretty good. I used the tan tubing in the WaterWise kit, and I think it kind of blends in really nicely. I might go get like some tan paint and just kind of daub it on these white nail clamps, and I think that would kind of mask it a little bit, but I'm really happy with how it went. It did take longer than I thought. And when you do a project like that, you realize why you pay so much to have somebody put in this kind of system for you, because it is a lot of work. But it was fun. It was fun to be out here. And we are going to leave like a little care kit too. So I'm going to put together a bunch of supplies that we've got left over, a bunch of tubing, emitters, because drip systems like this for containers, you have to watch them. It's not really a once and done, and you can forget about your containers. You still need to look at them every once in a while. You need to still fertilize them. And sometimes when it gets hotter, you might need to add more emitters. So we'll leave enough stuff here so that they can do that if they need to later. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're all having a wonderful Mother's Day, and we will see you in the next one. Bye. I did it. Did they just arrive?
Yeah.
Hi.
What are you doing?
We'll have to show you your Mother's Day present.
Oh my God.
So it's pretty good. Like
Oh my
I was surprised.
I can't even see it.
Well, unless you're looking.
Oh my God.
So there's 3 emitters in each basket. We're gonna leave all the rest of the supplies so you can add more if you need to.
Oh my God.
So this one's on drip. You guys got here a little early.
on drip?
Yeah. So I put it. I need your blower. I had to put that there to keep it from popping up. There's 3 in each one. So that one's fed from down below and then it comes up and it's
Right.
fairly decent.
You can't see it.
This one is fed so you can see it's 3.
You know, to get all these different